Sins is a free post-production project management system for film and television. You can manage projects on the web, including creating projects, tasks, assigning artists, etc. In terms of production, you can use plugins integrated in various DCC to perform auxiliary operations, including project file management, output and import. You don't need to manually create folders, set output paths. These are automatically controlled by Sins. Currently, plugins provided by Sins include Maya, Nuke, Houdini, Katana, Blender and Unreal. In RV, you can easily preview the whole sequence, including switching and comparing between different versions, adding feedback, etc. Sins also supports the new USD workflow. You can build scenes in Maya, multicam production, and rendering in Katana. First, download the latest Sins installation package from GitHub. Unzip. Enter the server folder, double-click the install.cmd file, wait for the installation to end. Double-click startserver.cmd to start the service. Enter the following address in your browser and enter. Normally, you will see a login page like this. The default user is admin. The password is 123456, log in. Then you can start creating the project. If you need team collaboration, you need to place the server folder on the server and modify the configuration file. Open CMD, execute change-ip.cmd, then enter the IP address of the server. Then start the service. On other machines, you need to enter the IP address of the server. If you need to use domain name access, please contact your IT for support. After logging in, we will come to this page. Below the page, we can jump to other pages such as help documents or download addresses. The review page will display the versions in the project where the currently logged in user has access permission. After clicking a version, the preview can be played, and other versions of the asset or shot corresponding to this version will be listed on the right. Double-click a version to switch. The schedule page will display the time schedule of the tasks. It will display the start time and end time of the task in the form of a timeline. The abscissa is the date, the ordinate is the task of each asset or shot. The Project tab will list your recently accessed projects. Click All to view all items. All items listed here are items that the current user has permission to view. Listed under the Entity tab are non-project data. We will look at it later. In the search box on the right, you can search for projects and users. Sins has a built-in message system. You can send messages to other users in the message page. Some system prompts, feedback information, etc. will also be displayed here. In the user page, the tasks assigned to the current user are displayed first, and then there are the versions submitted by user, the feedback received, etc. My follow shows the data you are concerned about. You can follow or unfollow by clicking the star button on a data page. Some followers are set automatically. For example, when a user creates a version, the user will automatically follow this version. When the data changes, the follower will receive a message prompt. Various software will be displayed in the app's interface. You can open software such as Nuke or Maya from here. You can also choose the version, but the premise is that you have to install the client, and the path of the software needs to be set correctly. Some default options are created when the service is installed. Later we will see how to add new software and configurations. In the TimeLog interface, you can submit records of tasks, such as how much time was spent under which task. Admin is a page visible to administrators. In Config, you can add data types, add fields, or modify field properties. You can also modify some default settings of the data table, such as which fields are displayed by default, default sorting fields, etc. In permission, you can set the operation permission of each permission group, including whether to edit the configuration, whether to see all projects, edit permissions for each field and each data type, etc. Let's take a look at each data type. First, we need to understand some concepts. The data types of Sins are divided into two categories, project-related data and non-project-related data, both of which can be called entity. Let's first look at some commonly used non-project data. Department. Some departments will be created by default during installation, including model, animation, comp, etc. Permission group, which is used to control the operation permissions of users, including adding, viewing, and modifying each entity. You can edit the specific permissions of each permission group on the administrator page. User. I can create a new test user. The user must have a permission group. Users without permission groups will not be able to log in. The login field cannot contain spaces or special characters. Group. You can specify which users are in the group in the users field. Project. Let's create a test project here. We need to specify the project name. This name cannot contain special characters or spaces. You can also add thumbnails. After adding, you can modify the users field to add users to a project. The project user connection table allows users to have different permissions in different projects. For example, the global permission of the user I tested here is admin. In this table, we set his permission in the test project to read only. Then when the user enters the page related to this project, its operation rights to the data related to the project will be restricted. Pipeline step is mainly used to indicate the type of a task, which will be used in the client. The name field cannot contain spaces. Task template. When you are creating an asset or shot, you can specify a task template, so that after creation, it will automatically create the task in the template under the asset or shot. After installation, there will be 2 templates by default. Status is used in the status type fields of other entities. The link fields field indicates which entities can use current status. Asset type, the name cannot contain spaces. Chart is used to customize the statistical chart. Click the name to enter the chart to see the chart. For example, this counts the number of assets in each project, which is represented by a bar chart. The left side represents the properties of the statistical chart, such as statistical data types, fields, according to what combination and sorting, etc. You can create your own graphs based on these created by default. Then we look at the data related to the project. We enter a project. You can click the project name in the project table to enter, or you can find the project under the project tab to enter. In detail page, the detailed information of the project will be displayed. Review and schedule page are the same as above, except that the scope is limited to the current project. Asset. When creating, you need to specify the asset type. The shots field is used to specify which shots the asset is associated with, that is, which shots use this asset. Sequence. The name cannot contain spaces. Shot. When creating a shot, you need to specify the sequence. The start frame and end frame of the shot cannot be empty. Task. You can create a task automatically by specifying a task template when creating an asset or shot, or you can create it manually. The task needs to have a start time and an end time. The assigned to field is used to indicate who the task is assigned to. Version. Generally speaking, the version should be created by client tools in various production software. Of course, it can also be created manually here. Playlist. Generally, we will add the version submitted on the day to a playlist every day, and then the director or supervisor can view the versions in this. Click the name of each entity to enter the details page of the entity. First, each field of the entity is displayed, and then other data associated with the entity is displayed under other tabs. For example, shot tasks will be displayed here under Tasks tab. You can also create tasks here. On the version page, under the Depend tab, you can see the association of the upstream version used by this version. Each datasheet provides some commonly used functions. When you move the mouse to a field of a piece of data, the Operation button will be displayed. Click the Edit button to enter the edit mode. You can modify the data. Click the History button. You can see the modification history of the current data field. In the Fields option, you can choose which fields to display. In Sort, you can choose what field to sort by. In Group, you can choose what field to group according to. In Filter, you can filter based on some fields. After you select some data, you can choose other operations here. You can export to a file. Currently support Excel export. You can use the exported table for batch data modification, and then import back into SINs for update. Different data types display different operable content here. For example, in Sequence, you can choose to open an RV, so that it will open RV and load the latest version of the preview of the shot under the scene.